Hey guys, what I have you here for today is a campaign battle in the 1866 campaign, Austria versus Prussia. I hope you enjoy it. So, first of all, I'll pause the armies and tell you what we have fielded before we obviously combat the Prussians. So we have two corps and one cav division. And the seventh corps, the sixth corps, which is in the front, has Brigade Rosenwig, which will be defending Placy. So the Prussians have to achieve three objectives: Placy, Semeli, and Ardon. And this General Rosden is in command of making sure they don't take this. The second general is Field Marshal Remming. He is part of another brigade within Sixth Corps. One great addition to his brigade is they have the Deutschmasters, the Fourth Regiment, which is the best regiment within Austria. So that'll be very good for them. Um, the brigade, so it's a division, but they fielded a brigade for the battle. Is commanded by Prince von Husrit, um, which is a great addition to our army. I actually commanded the reinforcements in the back, which is Fourth Corps. So they are marching to the battlefield. They will only be able to advance 5 minutes once the battle begins. So let's move on. So the Russians in this battle, due to obviously orders, they will be slightly outnumbered. Um, we'll see how that goes for them. So one of the commanders decided to get Jaegers into the building because obviously Jaegers has more range, they'll be able to shoot. Later on, that might come back and hit him because Jaegers, when it comes to getting charged in houses, they rout very easily. But he does have grenadiers to help him within the defense of the town. One sad thing actually is the new player who's commanding the cavalry. So he's new to commanding cavalry as a whole unit. He got some of the best cavalry of Austria stuck within the building. So the Grey Station, Stadion, Kaiser, Franz Josephs. These are very great cuirassiers, which will be, they could have been very used within the battle. So the plan of the Prussians is to make their main attack on here. Um, we can't really see their main army or check out their units, but we know they're around here. So we'll fast forward a bit. All right, so we have the first few Austrian, Prussian units pulling by. The the Prussian skirmishers. Bit of a hill, but I don't think it will be that obstructing. It should do quite well. Okay, Prussian artillery first to fire. One thing about it is Austrian Jaegers are typically better than Prussian. It's they were very fond of their Jaegers, so it was one of their best units within the arsenal. I did tell the Austrian commander to be careful with this one unit because he will get infilated by four against his one. I think he reacted just in time, but he still took heavy casualties as a result. So far it's just a duel shooting at each other's Jaegers. Russian artillery, cropped cannon. So I think we'll witness the massacre of a few Jaegers very soon. So he gives a nice volley against them, but he's going to get one in return very soon. So he's pulling back right now, but they just got off the volley. So that done a lot. So he's taken the city as a defense now. So we can see Russian infantry coming around now, getting ready for their attack against Clonsey. Austrian artillery trying their best to soften up the skirmishers and keep them back. So they decided to withdraw their cannons because you don't want them to get shot by the skirmishers. They will rout. 5 minute mark has arrived, so the fourth corps is now on the arrive. So one addition to the Austrian army is they actually have howitzers. This is the only corps. Fourth corps is the only corps in the Austrian um, organization that has howitzers. They will be much needed. This Austrian unit has sustained quite the casualties. Keep in mind that this is a campaign, so every loss is taken into consideration. If it does come to feeding, the game master will look at it, but you don't want to be losing your manpower. So the skirmishers within the building, they don't seem to be firing back, but the Prussian, the Prussians see them. So one of the brigades, of what's the guy, Fleming, he is defending Arlon with some Integreria battalions, which is basically engineers. They have like grenades. Some grenadiers in the back, and some cavalry from the brigade to help them, just in case of a Prussian attack. So the Prussians are they're starting to get ever more aggressive. Nice volley from the grenadiers. They have rank fire. The artillery seems to have softened up the Prussian skirmishers. They're taking casualties themselves. I think they're deciding to pull back. Yeah, Austrian artillery. That's Austrian artillery for you. They field a lot, but don't be mistaken. Russian artillery can just be as deadly. Oof. Yeah, they're pulling back out of there. The Dreiser needle against the Lorraine's rifle. So fourth corps is going to have to take a while to get around here, but I think they're setting up their artillery very soon. Again, that's me, so I will be. Until then, this brigade is going to have to hold out against this Prussian onslaught. So one of the players is deciding to push up an infantry in order to add weight against the three skirmishers. Three skirmishers against one isn't going to be good, so that's a good play from him. Artillery support as well. Right, so the skirmishers have decided to break the windows and now are firing back at the Prussians. The Prussians are deciding to step up their game before Fourth Corps arrives, which it already is. The skirmishers are getting pushed back. Skirmishers against infantry is not a good idea. They will get cut down. So my idea is to set up the howitzers, which are really deadly within the campaign as a whole, and to add support against the right of the Austrian player. Um, it seems that their main push is coming from here, so I decided to send a brigade to help him on his right, and then send a brigade into the center. Because as we'll see, Russian infantry have now decided to advance against Semny, and they'll take this house, and we'll have to retake it. So I'm setting up my howitzers now. They're gonna fire very soon. Yeah, very, very effective. So without my brigades, so here's the Deutschmasters. The Austrian High Command kind of gotten um, kind of worried that something bad was going to happen. So my brigade my entire corps yet to arrive. They decide to send the Deutschmasters to fill in this front. The the redeployment of some 8 pounder horse and obviously the howitzers has them pushing back, but they have secured the building, and that's what matters. The Austrians decided to pull back, the Prussians pulled back, but the Russians have control of the house. So far, the battle is in the Prussian favor. So here's some skirmishers moving up. The 8th skirmishers, they're coming to combat the Russian skirmishers and the brigade that's heading into the center. As this house is now being taken, although we don't see the units, this house is occupied. Really good on Austrian artillery fire. So We now have Prussian units coming to contest Arlon. A Dragoon. It's a Dragoon from the 7th Corps of Prussia. And 2 infantry units. 3 infantry units. So there's not much of a combat that goes on here. It's more of a show of force, weighing what they have. Austrian artillery isn't going to allow any favorable attack. You can already see they decided to move up cannon to show the Prussians what's up. They'll unlimber that now. Yeah. So the Prussians don't decide at the end to launch an attack on Arlon. They just don't have the force to do so. So here I am. I finally arrived after a good 15 minutes. So it's been about 5 minutes since the 4th Corps were allowed as a reinforcements as they were. When it came to the campaign, they had to march to the battlefield. So the Deutsch masters decide to come back over to their position as we don't know what's going on here. The Russians are deciding to make an attack and to allow my brigade to take over. So I think it's Graft. No, that's my general. I think I have sub generals as well. My sub generals are cavalry generals actually. They're light cavalry generals. Karl Poch. So I'm bringing forward my Austrian Jaegers, which are superior to Prussian Jaegers, and they have been sustaining artillery fire. The Prussian Jaegers are doing some damage to the infantry here, so they're just pulling back, waiting until the mass of Austrian Jaegers come to start delivering back. Reinforcements have arrived, the regiments have arrived. So each regiment has 3 battalions, so as you can see. So the cav is getting shot at by the artillery. They're gonna have to retreat here. They're measuring up, weighing their options if they can attack, but I think it's just a show of it's an illusion. I don't think they have hopes of pushing against this. It's just too much. Artillery contests carrying on, pushing back in the Jaegers. So the Prussians decide to pull back, as they obviously don't want to face freshly new Jaegers that will hurt very bad. So my brigade that I sent into the center has now arrived. Obviously, during the battle, we did not know that we had this advantage against the Russians. So you might be saying, well, why don't we push? Why don't we push? We just don't know what we have. One of the commanders told me to move in my infantry over here, but again, I did not know what they have, and moving 3 regiments against which could be multiple battalions um is not visible. So they decide to pull back their Jaegers into the tree line, and obviously I can't see them, so my guys aren't shooting back at them. So I decide to move the units a bit closer, try to somehow get my vision on them. So I bring them into the tree line here, and I bring them a bit closer. So my brigade has now arrived. I'm obviously moving my howitzers closer because they're pulled back and they have limited range. So the plan was to set up some light cav to come down the road. We already have one set up, a lancer, to move down the road, cross the bridge, and charge the skirmishers out of the forest. And I think he gets that ready, but before he actually does the charge, they pull back. So again, the Prussians have control of the house and this house as well. So Semele and Claes, we decide to send in the Deutsch Grenadiers, the best unit of Austria, into the house. Here they go to reclaim the house. Very soon, there they go. They will retake that. This is no elite unit of Prussia, so the Deutsch will make easy work of the unit in the house. So I'm here discussing options with the commander. We decide that we're going to set up our columns and retake the house. Again, not knowing that there could be an entire Prussian army. This was the first campaign battle, so we weren't just sure of what they fielded. They could have anything. So I decide now is time to bring forward a regiment. The which regiment is this? The 51st Regiment, Karl Ferdinand, to contest the Prussians and begin the reconquest of the house, while the other player decided to move in the Grenadiers for an assault. Very beautiful uniforms, they really stand out. Skirmishers shifting over to the right. Can I do a volley? There they go. Beautiful. Yeah, they're redlining already. So it's just about now. The Deutschmasters are making a bit of progress. We set up quite a few battalions thinking that we were going to have something, but again, at the end of the day, it was a ruse. They're already pulling back. Austrian units. Again, this is my troops as well. I decided to send in the 37th Regiment to hold the center, thinking something would come. But then, yet again, we need to hold the flanks here. That was my goal. One regiment here and another regiment here. So the 51st and the 37th to be like a wing and anchor while the main push focuses into Clonsey, which is obviously the Grenadiers. There's Grenadiers after Grenadiers within the forest. So there's one thing you need to notice is at this time period, Grenadiers didn't really mean that, oh, it was a better unit when it came to the Austrians. So we send nearly about a good 4 units within the house and they just get beaten. As you can see here, they're just littering the floor. This unit in the house would hold out defiantly. We're sending in more. Oof. So now, since they're starting to re-engage against us, the howitzers are racking up their kills. You can see they're already getting chevrons. So, responding to this push by the Prussian battalions, I decide to move forward some of my grenadiers to combat this. So here they come, battalions coming out the tree line, passing by the 51st Regiment. So I decide to run them because the Prussians are already now lining up. They will start firing. And here they go already. So I must get my guys into line quickly. So the unit in the house is getting inspired, possibly even a rally from the general. So more battalions must be sent in. The rest of the battle within the left, so Arlon will be quiet for now. The Austrian commander is just scouting out, and he can see there is an army somewhere there. So we will come back. But right now, the conquest of Clonsey, the reconquest. So we decided to push forward the little river, a bit daring, and they're pulling back. So it's very important to know that Austria as a whole is mixed with militia and basic units. He just got out of there just in time. And then the artillery is going to scare that away, and the infantry. Ooh, the units getting shot from the house while charging. Another grenadier unit trying to come and support it, wrapping around the building, but again, the house. The house is the problem. Fighting around this house will cost the Austrians many grenadier units. As you can see, this is brought down to 66 men. They will charge in, they will redline, they will break. That is 2 battalions already. But we need to understand that, again, being a grenadier in Austria didn't really mean much. They will have generally a few better stats, but it's nothing like elite or guard worthy. So here I am pushing forward my grenadiers. I got emboldened by the retreat. And it's pretty clear by now that even though this unit is holding back against many waves, heroically they will fall. There's just too much reserves. So we decide to bypass the town and push forward. The Cav as well, deciding to push now as well. I think I've missed a few over here, didn't I? Okay, so it seems that they had a bit of a Cav engagement. An Austrian and a Prussian unit in the woods. Um, shot back the unit. So it seems a Russian Dragoon unit has gone routed, or at least heavily charged. So Graf Grong, so it's, the 55th Regiment. So they have a battalion. As I say, Some Austrian units they just have basic units, but then they will be integrated with a grenadier unit. So this grenadier unit doesn't mean it's something elite to be praised. It just means they might have a few better stats than the rest. This is an entire regiment right here, four battalions maxed. This house is again refusing to fall. So I tell the commander, please don't send anything else in. I looked at my stats. I knew these grenadier units had the stats for the combat. So I decide to now send them in. Enough is enough. They've held out long enough. I send them in now. The NR 51 with a battalion of the 26th. Where is he? Where is he? There he is. Austrian artillery, once again, being an annoyance. So the general nearly got killed there. Within campaign, charging generals is allowed. Ooh, this is going to get back charged. Yeah, there goes the building there. Once I sent in the grenadiers. Prussia sending forward dragoons with a general to inspire. Austria decides to pull back from that. They are not going to lose their unit. I think they've done enough damage. Yeah, and they're getting shot from the Prussian in the forest as well. So a lot of fighting will go on here. This forest in particular will be a bloodbath. So with the house now taken after claiming so many lives, yeah, a rule in the campaign is that if a unit dies in the house, it is fully dead. So this feeding on this one unit to the last man, there he goes, he just died, is allowed. But as you can see, it kind of is worthy. Commanders weigh the options. Should I leave units in the house and risk it being killed to the last man? But as you can see, it claimed a lot of lives, a lot of battalions. So it was a worthy trade. So I decide my next approach is to send forward the 51st Regiment as well with a battalion of the 26th to claim the tree line. Oh, we got a charge going on again. Yeah, Austrian cav is just generally better than the Prussian. When it comes to lancers against dragoons, if the lancers get a good charge off, they will normally win. Here they go again. It's stationary. They're not getting a good charge off, but yeah, they seem to be holding. He must have been inspired. Yeah, that's very costly for them. So the brigade of Crassiers is arriving. I send some depleted units. I think this was actually one of the commanders of the 7th Brigade. I tell them to set up some units while I attack the brush in the tree line here to keep this cav at bay. I don't know what they have, but the cav commander will help as well with pushing them out. So here we are now. The battle for the forest. It will claim many lives. Here's the 51st or the 55th. I think there must be some Deutsch masters. The 51st is quite a big regiment, and they're taking on quite the Russians as well. Here they come, the Deutschmasters, into the forest. So, my general has arrived for the inspire. Here we go now. Again, these little small actions are very worthy because each man that dies is counted, and these units have to fight throughout the campaign, which can last for months. This being the first campaign battle, you don't want to be losing your men. Oh, what a cannon! What a cannon! It destroyed the entire unit. They're retreating. So the rest of the army deciding to pull back while they can. I bring in two units, the 37th, to shoot him to all this. They must shoot. Go on. Yeah. A lot of fighting will be heading into farce as well. My charge, I decide to give a volley first. And once I see them giving their backs to me, I decide now is the time to charge. Yep, there I go. The Austrians, what they're good at is melee. They're going in for it into the forest. Austrian cavalry's coming around the flanks. So the Deutschmasters are in here. They're fighting very hard. But the fact is, they're fighting against such odds, they will be very depleted. There they go. The Prussians frantically trying to get out of there. So they're managing their best to actually scave away from my bayonets. But with the cav coming around now, and no time to cross the river in force, they will meet the cold steel. So I decide to bring in some grenadiers to retake this house because they have a unit in the house. We're attacking the forest. The flanks getting pushed back, as you can see. The charge in the forest and the cav coming back to back charge them. They're bringing a general across the bridge to help about the howitzers. We then decide, just like Napoleon, attack on the flanks and then give the coup de grace in the center. But it's not going to be easy. They have cannons. They have cannons set up here, which are doing a lot of damage. As you can see, they're shooting at a general, which is allowed. This is allowed. So what I decide to do is I decide to bring in my cavalry generals. They are light cavalry. They're fast. They have really good stats. I can't attack until these batteries are taken. Just like Napoleon at Samosera, he ordered the Polish light cav to charge the cannons to make way for his army. I will do the same. So, with the conclusion of the forest fight, seems like an entire regiment of Prussian have met their doom. The howitzers, as well as cav and infantry. The forest fight is taking a toll on the Prussians, as well as the Deutschmasters. 230, they're now down to 56, the best regiment within Austria. They're paying this with their life. The Prussians are making them pay for every inch. They're making a counterattack. One thing that is impeding both armies is the river, retreating or going forward. So I decided to pull back my units. They fought hard, they done their job. Again, you want to conserve your regiment, so send in fresh regiments. Here I go now for the charge. The light cav, they're going past the building, shooting into them. Annoyingly, the Pathfinder did not go down the road as I intended, and this unit will pay dearly. A unit from the forest will come out and rake them. I decide to pull them back. Here they go. Go on, go on. So the cannons are secured, but the Prussians will counterattack, and we'll see what'll happen now. So I decide the cannons are secured. Move in now, the grenadiers. One unit is going to seize the house, while the rest continue down the line. So we're feeding Cav into this engagement. Both sides are feeding Cav into this engagement. As you can see, they're bringing Cav over. Who is going to have the breachhead? Is the breachhead going to be secured by the Austrians, or is the Prussians going to push them back? So I make a mistake here. After Prussian Cav come, I feel like I'm going to lose this. And you'll see what happens now. Since I think I'm going to lose this and I'm going to get charged by the Cav, I decide to pull back my Cav, my Grenadiers, and they get back charged. You don't want your units getting back charged. This unit held stubbornly, very stubbornly. So me pulling back was kind of a sound move, but also, as you can see, it's not. Grenadier units getting attacked like that is something you do not want to see. So I decide to rush forward my general to inspire and perhaps rally. We launch a counterattack. I tell myself I'm not having that. So I bring forward more cav. I will have my breachhead. A general has died. The enemy general. Yeah. So it's very stubborn. So the Sixth Corps has managed to secure the forest, and they're now on the tree line. The 54th, the 55th Regiment. Keep calling the 51st. They are paying it dearly, though. This is a bloodbath. See how much Cav has died, and they're just sending it in. So I decide to send forward a reserve. This unit has been reserved behind artillery. I decide we're pushing here. We're pushing here. Let's remove these units that are giving us a horrible flanking fire, as you can see here. Are they going to shoot into the cav? They do. They're doing a bit of friendly fire as well. What's the thing is, again, crossing a river, and they're deciding to narrow themselves, so I get a nasty volley. Well, I'm still pushing forward. The columns will advance. I think it's then a unit here decides to shoot into me. I just don't see it, but they countercharge me. The 12th Regiment. So we have finally secured our breachhead. The Prussians being chased. I tell one of the guys to help me to back charge this unit because it is not going too well. Out of 230 men, I'm already on to 170. So the Prussians are now on the retreat. They're pulling back on all sides. The units in the house is defiantly holding. We're sending in men after men. Just take the house, fall. So I think I redeploy my howitzers once more? They're racking up the kills as it is. So we're pushing on beyond the tree line. I think we charge this general, do we? Yeah, yeah, there he goes. He gets routed. I think they're going to push him for it. I think he's already dead, so there is nothing to come up. He's already dead. Like, the unit's routed. So we're having a proper line fight now. Austrian battalions coming around, crossing the river, trying to outflank the Prussian army. What's left of it. Charging forward, missed this charge. I think it's the Deutschmasters, is it? It is indeed the Deutschmasters. The Prussian general watching what left, telling his men to hold. I think this is when the game master decided to come into our VC saying the time was up, so it's 40 minutes to battle. Once the timer is hit, all armies have to disengage and stop firing. So obviously, I was a bit cheeky here. I decided not to bring out the units, but again, if I brought out my units will get fed on, and I think it's just fair to let both sides fight it out. Whoever takes the house takes the house. If I pull out my units, it will get fed on, and if he pulls out his, it will get fed on. So let them do their thing. But I turned off firing into the building, so all units are disengaging. We're pulling back now. So we might say to ourselves, well, this is one-sided, isn't it? It was orders. They sent an entire corps down the wrong route, and there's an entire corps missing here. So we'll fast forward. Hopefully, 20 minutes goes by quick. We'll check we'll check the KDRs and see how they are. So over here we just have some of the players just messing about, just having a bit of a joke, and they start firing into each other. I think the Austrians are just a bit happy, after a victory like this. Such carnage. How many horses from both sides? A lot of my general cav, as you can see, if they have this white and blue saddle and blue leggings, they are general cav. So they are a general unit, but they actually have like 80 men. So it was very costly. It was something I wasn't happy about, but it is what it is. Fighting for the house as well was quite devastating. I leave my Jaegers here. I didn't want them to fight anymore. I don't think they even took much losses. Um, I'm a type of individual. I like to conserve my troops. I don't want them taking too much. If they get to the below 200, which it will, I'd like to keep them back and then send in fresh troops. Combat in this house, is it still going on? It is. So let's stop moving our camera and see if this will rush further to the end. So if this is something you're particularly interested in, you would like to partake in this campaign, everything here is a realistic order of battle. So I was calling out the Pacific regiments such as the 31st, the 55th. I think I had the 51st. There was the 26th as well, which attacked the forest. Um, in the description of the channel itself, you will find a link to the server and you can partake into this. So, yeah, again, it's very, very costly battle for both sides. As you can see, the forest charged, the Russians came off a bit worse. Obviously Austrians as well. Um, the forest is the south. This one, the Deutschmasters, they I think they've done a bit too much. You know, it's kind of funny how the 59th could have done what the Deutschmasters did not have to do. No, it's not all of the battalions. It was the Grenadiers though, which were doing it. So one of the infantry battalions. Where's the Deutschmaster Grenadier battalion? I did that route. I probably routed, to be honest. That was down to like nearly two men. Will we find them? Here they are. Is that it? I think this is it. There they are. Yeah, this is the Deutschmaster Grenadier Battalion, 55 men. That's supposed to be the best Austrian unit in the game. There they are after their first battle. The unit in the house is still refusing. So again, let's open the map. The main objectives again was Clancy, Semele, and Arlon. They just didn't have enough forces to attack these in strength. They had a bit of a show of force here. They managed to sneak in a unit in here while the Austrians were coming down the road. But their main attention and their best hope was taking Clancy, which they kind of did. But once reinforcements arrived and pushed them back, they were forced to pull back. So, and then obviously the Austrians were hot on their heels, and we had a serious fight here. Were we were we going to crush the Austrians against the border of the map, or were they going to hold the bridge? And they were just saved by the bell. Okay, how long do we have? Oh, it's about good 5. Timer should go quick. So this is what we do. If it's a 20-minute battle, 30-minute battle, um, Game Master will come in, tell us stop, fast forward, and we'll sit there for a few minutes until the timer ends. So while I'm obviously not saying much right now within the Austrian VC, there was a lot of chat after such a battle. The Austrian Kaiser wasn't so happy to the player who got the unit stuck in the house. He swore he would never play Cav again. He done quite well, I would say personally. Um, he knew where to attack when needed and if asked. So it was just a mistake. He's new to playing Cav as a unit as a whole, and you don't want your Cav units around houses. They can get bugged. And we are 20 seconds in. So all right, here we are. So the teams were Caramel in general, which is me. Decent KDR. So I've deployed 4,000 troops. Cursor with the Cav, so Cav in general will be quite small. And the two brigades were split. So I had the entire two brigades of fourth course. So two plus two was four. So if you can just see it right here, he had a brigade, he had a brigade. So two brigades, a division each basically, with the Cav. The Russians fielded quite less. I think they only had a division. So they fought very well. So the howitzers were doing the main stuff here. They're very effective within the campaign, and the Prussians have a lot of that. Um, Here they are again. The Grenadiers, when it came to charging, they got their bit as well, but it is costly. It is very costly. So that's that. So if this is something you'll be interested in, again, link within the description of the channel itself. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys.